Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Morf Talk. This is our first episode of our podcast series. Before, I used to read scripts on my teleprompter when I was doing any videos. My English is not perfect, and as a person who wasn't born here, of course, I will make a lot of mistakes with my pronunciation, my accent. It's gonna be funny. I apologize in advance. I won't push myself doing something that even if it's harder for me, and maybe it's twice harder for me for somebody else who speak English perfectly fine and born here, I don't want to use it as an excuse not to do it. For my first episode, I asked my followers, what would they want me to talk about on my podcast series? So one of the topic that was proposed to me by one of my followers is, tell us how life of an immigrant is different from the life of an American citizen. So it's something that I can relate personally. And when I talk to people, I like to talk from my own perspective. Immigrant life is different from the person who born in the United States, and the challenges that person who moved here experience in a day-to-day basis is very interesting for people who never even heard about it. First thing first, when you compare immigrant life to the person who born in the United States, the first thing that comes in my mind is immigrant who moved to the United States, we don't have a backup plan. And let me explain to you what I mean. As a backup plan, I mean we cannot afford paying our rent to come back and live with our parents and save a bunch of money. I have some friends who were born in the United States were 27, 28, 30 and plus. When I hear from them that we work full-time job making 4, 5, 6 grand a month and we're still living with their parents and saving, especially in New York, couple $1,000s a month in expenses just because we have an option. It's amazing boost for those kind of people. You can't stop working basically, because if you stop working, you can't afford anything. You can afford food because you have to prepare your own food, of course. So you have to buy your own food, you have to buy your own groceries, you have to pay your rent, you have to pay your bills, and all of this costs a lot of money. And in New York City, it's approximately rent plus bills plus food is at least it's gonna cost you like 3 to 4K. And I'm talking about if you want to live good. I don't want if you live in decent neighborhood, not the best, and you don't eat trash, you eat normal food. Like you eat meat, you eat vegetables, and you buy good stuff, not the bad stuff. So not having a plan B, it's something that pushes any immigrant to the level that this is it, I have to do it. It has to work no matter what. It doesn't matter if I'm tired. It doesn't matter if I'm lazy. It doesn't matter if I have a headache or I'm sick. Nothing matters. Matters what you have to do. And if you will not do it, no one else would be able to do it for you. A lot of people would say, oh, this is so hard, this is so crazy, like this is so frustrating, it's very stressful. But in some sense, it actually builds a character. It pushes you towards being fully independent from anyone and relying only on yourself first. If we're talking about men, from the man's perspective, I think every man should rely only on themselves first. It helps you to understand that no one will save you. No one will come to your house and cook food for you, help you out. I actually just remembered that when I moved to the United States, my first 10 days in New York, I got very, very sick. I had a fever. I had like 40 degrees in Celsius. I don't really know what it is in Fahrenheit. Let's find out. So I had 104 Fahrenheit fever, and I was feeling really, really bad. I was 18-year-old. I was crying all night. I was missing my mom because when I was a kid, and I at 18 years old, you are not a kid anymore, but when I used to be a kid, my mom, every time that I got sick, was helping me out, cooking me food, making some chicken soup, like everybody can relate, and just putting me on my feet when I was down, and realization that she is not here and no one else could help you. If I will not stand up and if I will not cook, actually, if I will not go to the grocery store, if I would not buy ingredients to make that soup, if I will not buy pills, if I will not buy medicine, no one will help me and no one will do it for me. So I remember it was like 1 a.m. in the morning. I stand up, I get my clothes, I open Google Maps, find the local grocery that's close to me. I walked 10 minutes there and bought chicken. I remember, I bought I didn't know how much I need, so I bought a lot. I bought $30 worth of chicken parts, like wings, thighs, legs, everything. And I came home. I wanted to call my mom and ask her how to do it, but I realized if I will call her and she will understand that I'm sick, it will not be good for her. So I kind of stopped myself. I just Googled the recipe of how to cook chicken soup if you are sick. I made a chicken soup. It was the most delicious soup I ever tried because I did it myself. And that's crazy how at that exactly date I understand, oh, this is it. This is how it's supposed to be if you're adult. You have to take care of yourself and you have to do it, and you have to understand that no one comes to save you. Another thing that I would like to talk about is how literally everything is harder for you if you're an immigrant rather than if you're born in the United States. Everything. First of all, English. You cannot speak English. Because you cannot speak English, basically in every area of your life, you're going to have troubles. You're going to have problems. You will be shy to talk to people because you are making mistakes. People are going to laugh at you. By the way, not a lot of people laugh at me making mistakes. A lot of people actually encourage me to talk because we found fascinating that not only I know 1, 2, 3 languages, but I know 4 languages by the age of 19, and people admire that. People admire that me being a young kid who moved to this country, trying to survive, trying to make my own living, trying to follow my dreams, not being scared to ask questions when I don't understand what's going on, and how can I find the area that I'm looking for, how can I find the things that I'm looking in the grocery store. I don't know where they're located and I have to ask somebody. I admire American people for actually helping immigrants. I don't know different states. I'm talking about right now in New York. Maybe New York is used to immigrants and people are here friendly to immigrants. I cannot compare that to other states, but at least this helped me out. So coming back to what I previously said before, everything is harder for you. The second thing I want to talk about, especially as a business owner, as a businessman, it's no credit history. It's so hard to do anything in this country if you don't have good credit. And you don't know what good credit is when you move to this country. You don't understand the credit system itself because the credit system is non-existent in most of the countries. People don't get credits because we have very big APRs that no one wants to go and buy something for credit. Because when everything is normal and the economy is booming, in our countries, usually the APR is around 30-40%. Now imagine when everything is bad, it's around 80-70%. But this is the reason why people don't do credit. And for us, credit was something bad. And you were told from the early age that this is the wrong thing to do. So you have to save the cash and then pay for something. Understanding whole ideology about how credit system is utilized in the United States and how you can help yourself out if you have a good credit, learning it by yourself, because no one will teach you. I don't have a father who been here 30-40 years, understand how everything works, and he can pass me his knowledge. So I have to learn everything myself. And moving to this country, I got my first credit card when I was 22-year old. It was crazy. And just now understanding that I could had my first credit card the day that I moved here when I was 18, it will be a huge boost for me. Huge boost for my business, huge boost for whatever I do. It doesn't matter, it's a real estate, you did get a loan for your business or your personal loan to fix some financial problems. I never done any kind of formal government documentation in my home country. My parents did it for me. So learning where I have to go to get my social security or work authorization, how the taxes works, learning all of that by yourself, Googling, asking certain people for suggestions. I remember I was just in the coffee shop. I was drinking coffee. My first year that I have to pay taxes, I just asked random people in the coffee shop, how should I pay my taxes and how everything works? And he actually helped me out. He told me basic ideology, how it works. So it was easier for me to Google it. And he gave me his CPA number. I used his accountant to file my taxes. Basically, yeah. This is really interesting. This podcast situation, when you are talking to the camera and trying to remember everything and everything is live, you don't read script, it's It's interesting how certain things comes to your mind right away and you remember them and you're trying to tell to the audience, you guys, in the real time. It's challenging. For me, it's challenging. I don't know about other people, especially like if you speak English from the day you're born and it's native for you. But for me, it's very challenging. As the first episode, I want you to be a little bit easy on me. If something is wrong, I will learn it. I will teach myself as I did for this last 8 years that I'm in the United States. And I will be better, I promise. Immigrants spend so much finance for lawyers. You need to get a work authorization. You don't know how to do it. You have to ask your lawyer charge you a couple $1,000. But when you realize how to do it properly, you could do it yourself. But at that point, you already pay that amount of money. Legal fees for immigrants is way higher. For example, a document like working authorization. It's a documentation that allows you to work in the United States. It's connected to your social security, and you have to every 2 years you have to update it. And just to update it, it costs, I think, if I'm not mistaken, around like $500. And there is so many different fees for so many different documentation that immigrants need that people who live in the United States doesn't need. And that adds up, and you just realize this year you spent $4,000 for this documentation. Next year you spend $2,000 for that documentation. And before you get your citizenship, like in the course of 5-8 years, you realize you spent $25,000-$30,000 just for setting up certain institutions and getting certain documentation that you had to have in order for you to stay in the United States. Another hard thing to get used to is adjusting yourself, adjusting your mentality to American people. Because don't get me wrong, I'm not against American mentality, but it's just different from mine. And I cannot impose my mentality to other people, like my background and everything, the way I like speak to people, the way I like build my relationship. So I had to kind of have a symbiotic of something that I had before, something that how I was raised, my own mentality of my background, and my new mentality that I was adjusting to the United States. So it was really hard for me to become somebody new with my thoughts and accepting certain things, at the same time not losing myself within this process. I really wanted to be me. There is certain like groups of immigrants where we move to different countries and we becoming new people. We forget who we used to be before. We're trying to be who we are not. We're trying to act differently. And for me personally, I don't like that. For me personally, I think it's fake. For me personally, I think you're trying to be who you are not, and you're trying to impress somebody you don't have to even impress. And it's disgusting. So not to lose your own identity and at the same time accepting new things in your life, it was hard as an immigrant. So relationship in the United States was completely different from the relationship in my home country. Friendship is different. I would say in New York City is really hard to find a good friend. Really hard, because people are here disposable. It's really hard to find a good relationship because everybody can go to Tinder and find somebody else within a second. And, this mentality wasn't aligned with my mentality. I didn't want to live like this. So it was hard for me to trying to find my own people at the same time and building my life around those people so I would not lose the way I am, the way I used to be, but at the same time that I involved in something new. One more thing, I hate fake American smiles. People come to you, hey, how you doing? How's everything? And then that face. I cannot understand why people cannot be just real. People in New York practically they don't care about your opinion about them, and that's amazing. But if you go outside of New York, you will see that a lot of people are trying to be nice and friendly, even though they can hate you, but they can be nice. I personally don't like that. I personally would love to, if somebody don't like me, just tell me that you don't like me and I would know that, instead of us having these conversations and having this friendly chit chat for no reason and spending our time for each other instead of us be focusing on something what's important for us, our family, our friends, our work, etc. And the final thing is appreciation. I see American people, I see people who born here, we don't really appreciate America the way we should. America is a really great country. I really love it. Everything here, the opportunities here that just think about it. I'm an immigrant. I moved to this country in 2015 and I become a millionaire by doing something. There is not a lot of countries in the world that you can actually achieve that. by not knowing English perfectly, by having so many obstacles, by just your desire to become someone and your desire to work extra, to do something extra, to make extra, that opportunity that it gives you, that America allows you to be who you want to be. That's an amazing thing, and I really appreciate that. And a lot of people who born here don't really appreciate it because they don't see the difference. So it's hard for them to compare it. Just appreciation of everything that America could do for you. I would love to every American to feel that way, the way immigrants do. I never personally saw any immigrant who moved to this country, who live in this country, and who is shitting on it, who is saying that this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. Every immigrant that I met in my life, happy that he lives here. And I met so many American people, so many people who are born here, who live here, who constantly shitting that America is the worst country, that they don't love America, like America is bad. I'm trying to tell them, go and live somewhere else so you could compare those things and understand how lucky you are to be here, so you could understand the worth of being a United States citizen. You could understand the worth of living in the United States. A lot of people talk about United States that something is broken here, like something is not working the way it's supposed to work. It used to be very good before, but right now it's shit. I don't really buy that. I don't think that's true. America is still one of the greatest countries in the world. And there is a beauty in it that anyone, regardless of their background, can live here, can find people similar to their lifestyle, similar to their mindset, similar to their mentality and the background to build family and friendship. And the synergy of so many different people, so many different societies within one society, that makes it great. And that makes America be a unique place that I could not find any reason that you would say any other place in the world could be better than the United States. I think this is good for the first episode. I appreciate for you listening to my broken English. I hope you can relate to the certain topics. I would love to hear in the comment section, what do you want me to talk about? What's the suggestion about the podcast? If you want to learn more about me, you can find my videos on my YouTube channel. In my intro, I basically told my story, my immigrant story, how I moved to the United States, what I experienced, how I became a business person, how I became an entrepreneur, how I launched my first business, who I want to become, and what I'm trying to do in my life. It's the first step for me to become who I want to become in the future, and it's the first step for me to fighting my fears and doing something that I have to do, and doing something that I used to procrastinate about a lot. And this is the first step for me to become better. It was Alan Morf. Morph your mind. Peace.